You ever scroll through a common thread and wonder, am I talking to a real person or a really convincing bot? Now, imagine that doubt applied to face-to-face encounters. That's the reality that the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep thrusts us into. Sure, this is also the book that inspired my favorite movie ever, Blade Runner. But don't get stuck there. Philip K. Dick digs way deeper than the cool visuals of that movie. In a world where AI curates our playlists, suggests who we should date, and maybe even crafts the words you're hearing right now, this story's questions about identity, empathy, and authenticity are hitting harder than ever. Earth is wrecked. Radioactive dust everywhere. Cities are half empty. And real animals, they're practically unicorns. People treasure them not just as pets, but as moral trophies proving they can still care for something genuine. Rick Deckard, our protagonist, can't even afford a real animal. Instead, he has an electric sheep. And as the book puts it, owning and maintaining a fraud had a way of gradually demoralizing one. That line always stuck with me, like posting a flawless Instagram selfie when you're actually feeling hollow inside. It's a quiet reminder. Sometimes we flaunt a real life that's anything but. It's not just about the sheep, though. Humanity here dials emotions on a device called the Penfield Mood Organ. Feeling blah? Twist the knob and instant optimism. Emotional authenticity becomes optional, like picking a playlist. And if we can program our moods so easily, who's to say our sincerity runs any deeper than an android's code? Deckard's job is to retire androids that pass almost flawlessly for human. One, Rachel Rosen, nearly aces the Voight-Kampff empathy test, an exam designed to detect subtle emotional responses. Think about that. A machine so finely tuned, it can mimic even those flickers of feeling we consider uniquely human. This always gives me chills. The first time I read it, I closed the book and just sat there wondering, if a machine can fool our best empathy detectors, what does that say about the nature of empathy itself? And here's where it gets really wild. We're actually building our own versions of the Voight-Kampff test right now. AI systems that analyze our facial expressions during job interviews, reads our emotional states through voice patterns, tracks our reactions to ads. Every time you do a CAPTCHA or verify you're not a robot, you're basically taking a reverse Voight-Kampff test. But just like the book, these tests have blind spots. They measure responses, not reality. An android might fail because it can't feel empathy, or pass because it's learned to fake it perfectly. A human might fail because they're neurodivergent, or pass while feeling nothing at all. Makes you wonder, are we testing for genuine empathy, or just the ability to perform in a way that society recognizes? Then there's John Isidore, a man deemed subhuman due to radiation damage to his brain. While everyone else chases status, real pets, empathy tests, moral bragging rights, Isidore just helps those in need. When he shelters androids who are scared and alone, he does it out of pure kindness. No test, no code, no performance. In a world obsessed with proving empathy, here's a guy who simply lives it, even though society calls him inferior. The irony lands like a punch to the gut. The novel insists humans are defined by empathy. To quote the book, empathy, evidently, existed only within the human community. But the lines blur. Humans kill androids who appreciate art and music, like Lobo Luft, without much regret at all. However, androids also can cruelly toy with a living spider. No side emerges spotless. It's a moral free-for-all that makes you question whether empathy is an innate trait or just a cultural performance. If an android can learn to seem caring, and a human can fail to be caring, what's the fundamental difference? Here's where it echoes our world. We train AI to predict our feelings, respond to our moods. Recommendation engines nudge our beliefs. We tweak our online presence till it's carefully curated as any robot's behavior. If tomorrow's AI feels convincingly as we do, is that empathy real or just another flawless illusion? Then we have Mercerism, a VR-like religion where everyone taps into the suffering of Wilbur Mercer. Later, it's revealed that the story might be a hoax, just a staged performance. Yet people continue logging in, craving that collective emotional experience. Sound familiar? We know social feeds are filtered, stories exaggerated, yet we hit like anyway. We keep believing because the shared feeling matters more than the underlying truth. Authenticity takes a backseat to comfort and belonging. As Deckard's convictions crumble, we see a future where AI might not just do the chores, but also might earn moral consideration. If an android, or an algorithm, creates art that moves us, comforts us in grief, or begs for mercy with tearful sincerity, wouldn't we feel something? Maybe even something profound? And if we do, that suggests our empathy can be triggered by well-crafted code as much as by genuine blood and bone. It's unsettling and unavoidably relevant as we edge toward more advanced AI companions. To androids' dream of electric sheep doesn't provide us a neat moral lesson. Instead, it shoves us into a murky space where empathy, authenticity, and identity aren't givens, they're variables. That last image of Deckard, staring at his electric sheep under the radioactive sky, hits hard. It's like he's asking, what counts as real anyway? Meanwhile, we're left to wonder if our cherished human traits are as innate as we assume, or if they're just code we've chosen to run. So here's my question to you. If empathy can be faked, taught, or coded, does that make it less meaningful? Or even more miraculous when it shows up honestly? Let's talk about it. Drop your thoughts below and keep questioning. Because in a world where we can craft our emotions, our identities, and maybe even our moral compass, the quest for what's truly human is more than just science fiction. It's the world we're building right now.